Phil Harris. You've got my card. Title is Chief of Police, Brevard.
Alrighty. So can you tell me where you first found the bomb?
Yeah, it was near the First Baptist Church here in Brevard, downtown Brevard.
Okay, and did you have to evacuate the church? How did that situation play out, I guess?
Yes, we did evacuate the church. That was the first step. Everybody was perfectly cooperative. It went off beautifully. People left. People stayed in touch with the church on continuing services for later in the day, which were also canceled.
Okay, and you mentioned that there were other explosions, other bombs that were detonated. Where were those located?
What we did originally is we started with that area where the device that had not detonated was located next to the church, and then we worked our way out from there. At our community services building, we found other debris that suggested either more devices or devices that had already detonated. And then we kept looking for additional evidence of these devices. We found a few in that area, but it was all within that confined area near the church and near the community services building.
Okay. And so do you have any person of interest at this time?
Whenever an investigation like this happens, we have more than one. So we are gradually tracking down those leads. We tracked down quite a few yesterday. I would say probably 10 or more. And we eliminated most of those leads. We're still following those up today, and as time goes on, we're getting more and more leads from the public. It's always helpful. So we're in the process of figuring all those things out. Investigations like this are pretty complicated, and it takes a while to work through all of that.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that the explosive devices, they weren't super advanced. So what kind of person are we looking at?
I can't profile the person, but what I will say is the devices were kind of simply made, and there was a consistency in that nature. So that gives us an idea of at least the type of devices we're dealing with. It's what gives me confidence to say we've established the priority of protecting the public. That's done. We did a really good job yesterday of looking for additional devices. We found none in an expanded search. So we're in pretty good shape now, safety-wise.
Okay.
Can you kind of go, just give us like a timeline from yesterday, like from start to finish?
Yes.
Like how did this all transpire yesterday?
Yeah, our first call, it went from the church to a law enforcement person that they are familiar with. And then that call came to us. Immediately, we contacted the church and we started the evacuation process. Once that was done, we cordoned off the area, and then we started a broader search. In the meantime, we brought in bomb technicians from the SBI, the ATF, and the FBI, because something like this, it requires a response from people that have more expertise than an agency our size. So they came in, and as we worked through an expanded search, we found other debris that suggested either active devices or perhaps devices that had already detonated. That was when we found the devices at the community services building. So we continued to search broader and broader. We didn't find anything beyond that confined area. And then we started working through, again, the process of making those devices safe. And that took most of the afternoon. In the meantime, we were pursuing leads that we got from the public and through the video. And that has continued all the way through today. The devices were rendered safe and gathered as evidence, and they're in the process of being sent to the FBI lab for additional processing.
And what would you like the public to know as far as what to be on the lookout for?
Yes, great question. Brevard is safe. That's the first thing. The second thing is whenever something like this happens, we all should be aware that additional attentiveness is critical. So I'm asking people to look for suspicious items, contact the police department. We'll be glad to come and investigate that. And suspicious people, if you see somebody acting suspiciously, you don't need to confront them. You don't need to assess whether or not it's a good idea to call the police. Call the police. We'll come and we'll speak to those people. We have a greater idea of what we're looking for, and because of that, we have a kind of a simpler way for the elimination process to take place.
Right. And can you comment at all about the house that was being investigated this morning?
We are investigating a bunch of leads. I cannot confirm if that house has anything to do with this investigation or not. There'll be other investigations that take place even in a small town, and I can't confirm whether or not there's a link to this investigation. There will be a time in the future where we'll be prepared to add to this statement, and at that time we'll disclose additional information.
Okay. And you did mention that no one was hurt when those devices looked to have been detonated, correct?
Correct. And often what happens in a large investigation like this, the initial process, nobody's injured, but in the process of investigating and doing follow-up, sometimes those things happen just inadvertently. And there's been absolutely no injury, no concern either to the public or to the police at this point. I feel really comfortable that with the assistance of these other agencies, including the sheriff's office, everything went as smoothly as it possibly could.
Is there anything else that we didn't ask you that you think is worth mentioning or talking about?
There's several phone numbers for people to call in with tips. Our Crime Stoppers, thank you. And our non-emergency number that actually rings to our front desk here.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. We
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.